feed people. You could do it on an acre of land. Willingness to work in. Once again, it began with the what? The tilling of the land is the beginning of sustainability of the man and woman that the Yahweh placed in the garden. To tend and to take care of it. They weren't just tending the garden, just the trees. They were tending animals too. Are y'all hearing me? Okay. They had the full reign of the garden tending to it. So we as a people, but as I was saying, if we had more ready and in place, our people wouldn't have to go to the stores. We had our communities together, not neighborhoods, communities, where the farm sustained the community and the community supported and sustained the farmland. We wouldn't have to go to these stores and be treated like anything. We wouldn't have to go to these stores and be going backwards and forth about price gouging. We wouldn't have to go to the stores and be fooling with these. We could keep our money in-house, and guess what? It can bounce 10 or 12 times and not one time. But we got to be willing to get into that place. Are y'all following? Okay. All right. Now, listen at this. In close proximity to a Black-owned farm were able to enjoy the food security that comes from being near clean food sources. Finally, those in the cities were limited in regards to their expression of food sovereignty due to their distance from the farm. So once again, farmland and city makes it difficult to live a healthy way, especially when you're trying to really live. Because see, I'm coming to understand a lot of stuff. And organic just means coming out of the ground. So you ask yourself the question, okay, if you're saying this is organic, then what is this? Because everything that comes out the ground is supposed to be what? Organic. But that's the hype they put out there. I'm going to tell y'all something. If you've never heard of it, and I heard it through another brother on YouTube about 4 years or 5 years ago. And he was talking about this Bible called the White Man's Bible. Many of you may have heard about it. Many of you may even have it, don't know. But I found it, and I had been reading it a couple years ago. And in it, it talked about the sustainability of their people. Nobody else. They weren't concerned about nobody else but their people. And they talked about, and you have to understand, they threw that N-word around like throwing a Frisbee. Because the whole thing was to maintain a lifestyle and make sure our lifestyle continually plummeted. They talked about food sovereignty. Have you noticed, and I want you to check me on this. There was a time you knew nothing about them talking about organic food. When you went to the store, all you went and bought was apples, oranges, because you realized, hey, it comes from the garden somewhere. You go and you would buy it. The oranges had seeds in it, big old fat seeds, because we tell them when you eat them oranges, be careful. And I'm talking about the orange peel will be so fragrant, you could go in a room just by them opening one orange, you'd be like, oh, it smells so citrus and orangey in here. And it'd be on your fingers. It would be almost like perfume. Now you peel the orange, you be like, even onions, what a smell. There was a time onions would be so pungent that they would have to put gargles on to cut it because it would have you crying. Are you hearing me? These things were done intentionally. In the Black Man Bible, it talks about them creating food specifically for them and for other cultures. Are y'all following? Okay. There was a time that you could go on the side of the road and you could find an older gentleman selling his tomatoes, his watermelon, his cucumbers, his onion, and they would be so pretty. Why? Because this was their way of their livelihood. Not only their way of living, but it also helped us as a people to buy food, healthy. Now they have passed laws and ordinances that you can't sell on the side of the road unless you have a license or a permit. Where do you think we don't see any more of our people on the side of the road? When they had a big old, I'm talking about them greens you could take and you could wrap your head up in it. Them greens would be so big and pretty. And if you notice, if you are a green eater like we are, you have to take and you have to almost literally drown those greens in seasoning. because they don't taste like they used to. There was a time you could buy a green, cook it, and the flavor of it was amazing. It was amazing. Check the, make sure it's not about to die. Amazing. Are you hearing me? God. It was amazing. So the thing of it is getting back to that. If we want to be healthy and restore our health, one, you got to walk in obedience and turn back to the Abba and to his ways. Two, you got to eat better. That's right. You have to eat better. If you don't eat better, you can't do that. We can't recapture those things. We do what is important and necessary. Sure. But once again, the food sovereignty, it made it difficult for those that lived in the city. It made it difficult. So they had to eat what was there. And if you get this book, it will tell you some of the things that happened after the summer of 1919. Y'all, it is a great read, and it puts you up to date. These things, once again, are necessary for us as a people to understand what we are facing and what we could be facing even in the near future. Like I said, you hear about the stuff that's going on concerning this coronavirus up in North Carolina. They've shut down stores because there's nothing else in the stores. Some stores have closed early because of their employees. Now, you have to understand these stores and places are not closing because there is a breakout of the coronavirus. It is to safeguard them from it. There is a mass panic going on from state to state. And people are running frantically. Am I saying we're not supposed to prepare just in case they do a shut-in? Absolutely not. I'm telling you to make sure you have your water. Make sure you have your food. But I'm saying don't get out there and do the things that they're doing. That's right. But these things back into our original place. Because now, if there are no stores, then what are you going to eat? How are you going to survive? It's more than survival. How are you going to live? So it is important that we understand. If you don't have, find yourself, listen to me well, a local black, and when I buy your food from them. It is time that we learn to support one another in these times. That's right. Because I support one another. They will keep that store closed and keep you out of it and keep it open for others. So it's important that we understand these things. Are you following me? Very important. All right, now, however, this was fixed if a farmer was in traveling distance from the city. In short, the majority of African Americans in the late 19th and 20th centuries participated in some form of food sovereignty. This is another aspect of us getting in that original way for us as the children. You read in Devarim, which is Deuteronomy, chapters 26 and 27, you will find out there was a code of conduct. It was 25, 26, and 27, I believe. Let me check that out. Yes, chapters 24, 25, 26, and 27, and part of 28. We had a code of conduct. And that code of conduct was given by the Abba to make sure that our people were taken care of. The widows, the fatherless, and the stranger. And you must understand the stranger meaning our own people. Because if they were not walking in the truth, they were strangers. Are you hearing me? It increased unity. How are we ever going to get on the same platform and discuss the issues and things we need to discuss if we are not coming together? It'll never happen. Are you hearing me? It'll never happen. We've got to get to that place. African Americans were free to determine what to grow, how to grow it, and what to do with the fruits of their labor. In order for blacks to be able to produce their own crops, a strong community bond was needed. For example, this is where I wanted to get to, so that we can look at the writings. Are you hearing me? In Genesis chapter 1, verses 26, 27, 28. Blacks to be able to produce their own crops, a strong community bond was needed. For example, many blacks assisted one another in establishing and maintaining gardens. They helped one another. They helped to maintain it. Listen at this. Black men and women would divide responsibilities to make sure the needs of the household were met in order to avoid seeking white help. Now let's go back to Genesis. Let's go back to Genesis. Chapter 1. Let's look at 28, 29, 30, and 31. Let's look at those verses again. It takes them to maintain her and not just him. It takes them. Are you following me?
Yeah.
It's very important. All right. Will you have it say, and it is so?
And it is so.
All right. We read that from loud and strong.
Right?
27 to 31.
So power created man in his own image. In the image of power, he created him, male and female, he created them. Then Yahuwah baruched them, and power said to them, be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it. Have dominion over Zerah, seed, which is on the face of the earth, and every etz, or tree whose fruit yields Zerah. To you it shall be for food. Also to every beast of the earth, to every bird of the air, and to everything that crawls on the earth, in which there is life. And Yahuwah saw everything that he had made, and indeed it was very good. So the evening and morning were Yom Shishi.
6 days. All right. Now, the point that I want us to really look at is verse 27. He created him, male and female, he created them. Then he baruched them and said to them, it takes them, male and female, to be fruitful and multiply. Fill the earth, subdue it. Nowhere does he break off and say, now, woman, you sit down and you don't help. She is not, we are not helpmeets. Now, I know this is going to go over a lot of people's head, and a lot of people going to think, oh, you done blaspheme. No, he created them to do a work together. Together. Are you following me?
Yes.
He may not necessarily be a teacher. She may not be a teacher, but it is still a work that has to be done by the both of them. Are y'all following me?
Yeah.
There are the times where you will have a Deborah and her husband, where she will do the work and he will be in the temple doing the work. Boy, I lost about 3 people with that one. It's important that we understand. Why is it important that we understand? It said them. It said them. 4 hands are better than 2. Are y'all following me? He gave them dominion over the sea, over the birds of the air, and over every living thing that moves on the earth. And Yahuwah says, see, I have given you every herb that yields. He's saying you. You is not talking about it not being singular, because you got to understand, when he's talking to them, he's saying to them as one, you. Are you hearing me? This is where we see the unity. He's speaking directly to them as a unit, as one man, as one individual. He's giving this to them. Are y'all following me? It is important that we understand that. Now listen what it says. They divided it. And it was done to avoid seeking the help of white people. Are y'all hearing me? This is not about being racist. This is about keeping it in the house and doing what you need to do to support your own.
That's right.
Commodities of freedom. Food sovereignty caused money, resources, and power to flow into the African American community and became a threat to white norms and control. Not that one which has been placed in for the original. Because in order for the house to be maintained, there has to be unity. And there has to be a vision to where both are participants. Are y'all following me? Because if we don't do it together, it can't get done. Are y'all following me?
Yeah.
And this is where issues and problems has befallen or fallen on us as a people. Because you have people that say, well, you ain't supposed to do this, you ain't supposed to do that. Let's go back to the original. Are you hearing me? And when we go back to the original, that settles it all. Because he gave it to them. He gave it to us as a people. Are y'all following me? Very important to understand that. If we are going to live, it is important that we understand. Because how can we have communities and true farmland and say we're going to work when we have fighting and bickering? That's too many of us, and that's too much fighting. Are you hearing me? We fighting and we acting up over, well, you ain't supposed to be saying nothing because of your agenda. You ain't supposed to be doing this because of that and because of this. You have to understand the Abba can do whatever he wants to do. He can change whatever he wants to change in midstream. He's sovereign. He can do whatever he wants. You got to remember, he called us. We didn't call him. And it's important that we understand our sustainability is contingent upon us exercising our dominion as a unit. Many of y'all may follow purpose and you may not. But when you look at people that are preppers, right, you have to unite and not preppers do, especially when they're married, is they have their whole family on board to prepare. Because they realize this is a family thing, not just an individual. Because anything that's going into the project, everybody benefits from it. And this is why it's important, if we're going to truly understand sustainability for our people, then we must understand it takes all of us, not some of us. Are you hearing me? It does not mean that now, we are not supposed to have a role in our relationships, because truly, trust me, I understand the role of my husband and his responsibility unto us as a family. Are you following me? And I understand my role as an Isha to him, his wife, in this role of our household. We understand that fully well. And we also understand that in order for us to be sustained, we both have to put our hands to the plow and working. Are you following me? To ensure that we can provide for our family, and not just our mishpachah, but to our people. That what is worth giving out. We're not just here trying to sustain ourselves. We want to help to sustain our people.
Right.
But it takes order. And you have to understand that code of conduct for sustaining us has been distorted, and it has been just destroyed. And if we're going to get back to the original code of conduct and our sustainability, we got to look at the writings, and we got to be willing to be open, have our hearts open to what the Ruach is saying unto us, the congregation, and not what we've learned, because of many of things we've learned, we've understood it was misinterpreted and it was wrong. Now, the right thing to do is humble ourselves, repent, and go ahead and walk in it in the right way. Are y'all following me? Very important for us to understand. Once again, it is important that you understand that our sustainability, your sustainability, our sustainability as a nation comes from our dominion. Understanding our dominion. Understanding it comes from exercising our dominion. And understand also that our sustainability is also in line or outlined in our code of conduct. And if all those are out of place, then guess what? Sustainability will not exist. And if it does exist, it will not remain for long. Very important. I want to encourage you once again to keep your head up, keep your shoulders squared. And I want you to remember in this time, yes, it is challenging times that a lot of people are fainting over the coronavirus. Many are doing things that are truly, it's unethical, but at the same time, we understand that we're in times. And so as a people, it is in that before we do anything, let us always pray about it. Pray about where your feet go. Pray about what you are supposed to do. It's bad, and it's a heartbreaking thing that many people are going to, and hear me well, are going to milk the situation to their advantage. What do I mean? They're going to cause those that are weak and that are at a place that they are desperate to do things that they normally would not do. So it is important for us to use wisdom. Do not capitalize on somebody else's misfortune. Do not use somebody else's misfortune for means to get you ahead. Are y'all hearing me? And don't you take advantage of somebody because you're in a position that you need help. Or you don't need help, but you want people to believe that you need help. This is truly a time that the Abba is watching our code of conduct. Are we going to do right, or are we going to fall in suit with what other people are doing? Many places, as I said, they've run out of food. And so we're going to do that regardless of what is taking place outside of our authority, because some things are outside of our authority. But I encourage you, if you know of a place that's close by you that is a black farm, support them. Make sure they're legitimate now. Support them. Support them. If you're not near a place, you're not going to, we need each other right now. And we need to be able to support one another. Very important. And not only that, get you a little something. Get you a flower pot and some flour, some soil, and start your garden. You can start a garden right there in your front room, in your living room, wherever. Grow you some things. While all this is going on, grow you some. It don't take about 4 to 6 to 8 weeks for it to be ready to be harvested, right? Yeah. About 6 Messengers of Yahuwah's Kingdom of Grant Belief Congregation located in South Carolina. I want you to remember, here at Messengers of Yahuwah's Kingdom of Grant Belief Congregation, this is the place where the Torah does the body excellent. Until next time, be baruched, and remember, you've been touched by Jah.